Hello Bootcamp, I'm Lisa and this is your session on Pinterest. So what is Pinterest? Personally, it's one of my favourite social media platforms. Pinterest likes to think of itself as a visual search engine for people when they want something new but don't have a specific idea in mind. Guiding people to ideas that are just right for them. People don't always have the words to describe what they're looking for, but they'll know it when they see it. It's a deeper, more meaningful kind of engagement than you'll find on other platforms. Although there is a place for content in a similar way to Instagram, it's all about the image. Anything with a rich visual will do well on Pinterest. Think of it as a digital scrapbook, a place where you can collect and stick ideas for projects, bucket list holidays, special moments, weddings, christenings, and other interests. It brands itself as a one-stop shop for inspiration, new products, and new possibilities. As a viewer, you create an account. Just like other platforms, you have to be logged in to view any content. And then you create boards. These boards are then populated by pins. Pins are everybody else's content that you collect up and store. It's the only social media platform where you're encouraged to post other people's content. You can add as many pins to a board as you like, the idea being that it's a mood board full of ideas and inspiration. People in general go on Pinterest for 3 reasons: inspiration, buying, or learning. Point worth remembering when you're creating your content. Some of the most popular content that's on Pinterest at the moment is fashion, food, decor, wedding, and DIY related pins. People on Pinterest are looking to take action. They're there to spice up their everyday lives, find new dinner recipes, new places to visit, celebrate special moments, and plan for what's coming next, like a home renovation, university, or a new baby. On Pinterest, content isn't chronological, it's personal. You follow the topics and boards that interest you. You get recommendations based on content you have on your boards already and searches that you've been going through. Content doesn't expire, and because of the way the search works, the longevity of your content is much greater. So for a business using Pinterest to expand their brand awareness and sales, the time frame for each pin you create is much, much longer. Whereas you will perhaps have a post on Facebook that would maybe last 2 or 3 weeks if it was really popular and kept popping up. Your content on Pinterest is constantly available. So you don't have a wall that you scroll through, but it's always available on search. If it's popular and people engage with it a lot, it's more likely to pop up in someone's recommendations. So you don't need to worry that your content is only going to last a few days, because the way people search means it will last for years. The more a viewer uses Pinterest, the more personalised their recommendations become. So more personal their home feed is. But it's based around their search history, not your posting history or what's trending at the time. It means you can create more meaningful content and not having to worry about it going out of view or not being found at all. Popular pins contain videos or tutorials, things to teach new skills and activities, from recipes to DIY projects to workouts. People love seeing creative ideas and tips. Notably, the demographics of Pinterest are more gender specific, although this has come closer over the last couple of years. Over 60% of Pinterest users are female. That's quite a big drop from the last set of stats that was actually 81%. If you have a predominantly female audience, that's a good reason to invest time in Pinterest. It's not to say that men aren't on there. 40% of the new sign-ups coming through are men. So that means that people are seeing the value in it and finding interesting things. It's gone away from being all shoes and wedding ideas, although there is a lot of that on there. But there's a lot of recipes, holiday ideas, and tips on how to do things. Another notable thing about platform as a whole is the user time. Pinners tend to spend longer periods of time on the platform than you would with the others. If someone's starting a new project or looking for ideas for a new trip, the average time spent is hours rather than minutes. Whereas Facebook and Instagram, you might spend half an hour scrolling through your wall or search the odd hashtag. Pinners spend hours at a time. It's not unheard of for people to have a Pinterest afternoon, creating boards and looking for content. There's much more dedication to a pinner. They're looking for something, not waiting for content to find them. So where you might scroll through your wall on Facebook, you might pick up the odd thing that maybe interests you, but scroll past the rest of it. With Pinterest, it's all about you and what you're interested in. You have to make the effort to go and find that content because it won't necessarily find you. If you just sit there and look at the wall, those things aren't going to change. So it's for people to go off and look for things, look for ideas, which means the way that people see their content and the way they use it is different to the other platforms. According to Pinterest's latest set of stats, more than 400 million people use the platform every month. That's a lot of people switched onto a shopping mindset in one confined space. And with the new shopping additions that have been made in recent years, it means a captive audience specifically looking for a product with a shopping mindset that have easy access to buy directly. An interesting statistic from Pinterest's own user demographic is that 31% of millennials with a household income of over 100,000 are using the platform on a regular basis. That means a tuned-in audience with a good disposable income is using that platform to buy. People on Pinterest are in more of a shopping mindset. They're looking for ideas for rooms, clothing, food, or pets. They're looking with a view to buy. They're not just looking for looking. They're actually looking to find something specific. There are 4 different ways a viewer can find their content. So there's 4 different ways that your content as a business is going to be found. The standard home feed shows recommendations and new content based around their past searches. It's constantly updated with new pins, and the more they use the platform, the more targeted that home feed becomes. So when you first log into your Pinterest account, this is a sort of window that you'll get. And it'll show you a variety of things based around boards that you've already got or searches that you've already done. There might be things from people's boards that you already follow or people's things that you've already liked. It's a bit of a mismatch of all sorts of things to try and get your attention. You'll have straight adverts in there. You'll have all different types of pins in there. And it's all designed to get your attention and help you move through the next search and pick your next set of boards. Searches form a huge part of the platform. Keyword and visual searches help people find what they're looking for. Although it doesn't actually specify it, I've always found it's worth adding in the alt text with appropriate keywords. And when you see the slides for the creating content section, then you'll understand where that will fit. I found I get better search results with it when I do, just because my keywords are in there more. So the keywords that you're putting in your content and your descriptions, those are the things that Pinterest is going to pull out as to whether you're relevant to that search that's being made. So you can see here it's putting up recent searches, wallpapers, rock beds around the house. These are things that that person has searched for recently. And then they'll put a spotlight on things, maybe things that people have put adverts on, things that are trending at the time. Related pins are like related products on a website. They show when pinners take a closer look at a pin that they like. So here we can see the DIY pressed flower at the top. Underneath that, you've got the box more like this and all different options. It might be from the same person. It might be an advert that's appropriate, or it might be something that's just connected because it's got the same sort of title or same sort of keyword in it. It's essential if you want to be found in these kind of searches that you make sure your content has the right titles and descriptions. You need to make sure that your keywords are in there. So it's always worth using these platforms first to see what your competitors are doing, see how they describe things, see what keywords they're using, and then you can be in the same place at the same time. Just like you would on Instagram with your hashtags, there's nothing to stop you trying to be in the same place when people are looking. The Today tab is the other part of the home feed. So whereas we have the home feed, which is for you, Today tab is the daily stuff. So you've got daily inspiration, things that are trending that day, and you can see they're broken down into days and dates. Being relevant with your topic and your content is the best way to feature in this section. Use your social media calendars for appropriate days and check out the Today tab yourself to see what's hot. The Today tab is one of the only features that shows similar content to all viewers. It's not as targeted as past search or saved boards, although it will show you things that you're interested in. You might see unusual things or something that's just trending in general that you might not have seen before. It's really easy to set up an account, and you can do it off the mobile or off desktop. So you can have a standard account as you would as an everyday user, or you can have a business account. Both accounts are free, but the business account offers much more in the way of analytics, adverts, and content formats. It's easy to sign up and build your profile. So just as you would with anything else, you sign up as a personal profile and then it'll ask you to flip over. So you can go to the website or do it through the app, and it'll ask you to put in an email and a password, and it'll ask you to put in your age. This is because things like parental guidance is now coming on things like Pinterest to stop people seeing things they shouldn't. Alcohol pins aren't allowed to be shown to anybody under the age of 18. So it's just to make sure that people are seeing the right content. Create your account and you'll be asked to agree to the terms and conditions. To start building your profile, you can put in your name, which would be your business or your brand name, and you can put in a profile picture. So this would be something like your logo or a picture of you. If you have a website, click on the button and connect it up. It will give you the option to claim your website later on. If you don't have a website, you can click no, and that option won't be available to you. It wants your country, your region, and your language. Now you get to describe your business. So this again is going to help you come up in searches. So you can focus on your brand and you decide on who you are, what you're doing, and what your goals are, whether you want to sell more product, generate more leads, drive more traffic. All of these questions are designed to help Pinterest help you promote yourself. It'll give you slightly different options on things, and depending on what it is that you want to do and what the type of business is, it will pop you up in different searches in different places. You can describe your business and then get recommendations based on your own details. So it'll show you what other people are doing in similar areas. If you're a blogger, if you're selling goods or products, if you're a contractor, depending on what it is you're selling, they'll ask you to specify, and then you can see what other people are doing. And it's a great form of research so that you can see what else is going on. It'll ask you whether you want to run any adverts or not. Majority of the time, you're probably going to want to tick yes, just because you've got it there as an option in future. When you get to the where you would like to start part, it's just going to signpost you off to different places. So you can either start creating your pins, you can create an advert growing your audience, or you can showcase your brand and build your profile. I'd say probably showcase your brand first, build your profile, get your information in there. And then you can make sure that when people actually do visit your profile, when you're starting to get pins on your board, that the information's on there. You've got a nice banner image, all your information's up to date, your logo's there, your link through to your website is available. On Pinterest, you don't post, you pin. There's a variety of types of pin, and some of them suit different types of businesses. Not everything suits every type of business. The best pins are visually compelling. They tell a good story and make people want to learn. Although the basic premise is the same, it all revolves around the pin that you add to a board. Standard pins are the basic that everything else is based around. So these contain an image, a title, a brief description, and a link to either the product or a page where the viewer can see more. It's a great source of backlinks too if your SEO is an important part of your marketing strategy. So here we've got a basic example. We've got a big title there with some emojis in there. We've got some content in there. You can see what their board is, so you can follow them if you want. There's a link through to their website, and you can see the comments below. You can see they've also got a little tagged icon, so they've got a shop set up so that they can tag that product. It's always best to use a vertical image where possible. Pinterest prefers a 2:3 ratio. So where Instagram likes square, Facebook prefers landscape, it recommends something like 1,000 pixel wide by 1,500 pixels high. Because as you can see, you've got a portrait box here on your individual pin. You can use different size ratios and different size images, but sometimes they can view oddly, especially on mobile. You can use PNGs or JPEGs. Make sure the image is relevant to your brand. Don't try and use stock images or abstract stuff. It's not going to have the same impact. Whereas a Facebook post or a LinkedIn post, you might use stock images to enhance your content and get your point across. The whole point of Pinterest is originality. So where you would possibly, if you're selling copywriting, you would put a descriptive picture on, maybe somebody shouting down a megaphone or something, you do that to just catch the attention and connect it up to your copy. If you're selling that kind of thing, then Pinterest might not be the right place for you. It's ideal for products because it's all based around the image. So having your own images, making sure they're all interesting and relevant is the best way to get found. You can see here that even just for a basic frame, just a single product, they've tried to create something that looks a bit different. So there's a bit of a background. We've got some nice light on there. It's not just a product sitting on a white background looking like a cutout. The post builder that you get the slides for later on lets you add your own logo to your pins and keeps your brand identity front and centre. So perfect if it's your product, you've got those on there and you want to make sure that everybody knows it's your product or it's your work. By keeping your logo on there and adding it to your post, you make sure that every time that picture gets repinned to another board, nobody can claim it's theirs and it's always going to have your name on it. You can also include text overlays. Remember, it's a bit like Instagram. The viewer only sees the content when they click on the actual pin. So utilising the ability to do a text overlay, you can get the essential stuff across first straight away and encourage people to click on and see more. Use clear titles and descriptions. Think about what your keywords say that people might search for. What hashtag would you use on Instagram? What keyword would you use for in your Google search? The same principles apply. You can have 100 characters in your title, including emojis, as you can see here. The first 40 will get shown in the feed, so make sure they're the most relevant ones. And you can have 50 characters in your description, so there's plenty to go at to get your message across. Descriptions are used by the platform's algorithm to determine how relevant you are to a search, so make sure it's well considered. Don't be tempted to just upload a picture and a link back to your website because you're less likely to be found. Make sure you utilise the URL link option and always test it to make sure it works. So make sure you're getting the right content in your descriptions, getting your keywords in there so that when somebody's searching, you're popping up in the right place. If you have a shopping feed, you'll be able to tag products like you would on Facebook, which is great for driving traffic or making recommendations. You can get Pinterest to create a pin from a website link, but in my experience, the images don't always look great because they're not optimised for the actual platform. They're optimised to what suits your website at the time. They often tend to get a little bit pixelated and they're not always the best quality. So I prefer to do the pin myself and copy and paste the content across. That way I can make sure that my keywords are in there as well that might not be obvious in my text on my website. Video pins have become really, really popular. The video takeover that seems to be going on right now has made video pins a huge content choice. You can have between 4 seconds and 15 minutes of video content, but Pinterest recommends something that's 15 seconds up to 60 seconds long for organic and 5 to 15 seconds for a video ad. Put your main message first. Like with Instagram stories and reels, people don't always watch to the end. So make sure your key message gets put across first. If they tune out, you've said what you came to say. Equally, you want to catch their attention and make them watch more. So giving them a good call to action or a hero shot, make sure that they're going to stay and watch to the end. One interesting statistic that comes from Pinterest is that a lot of people watch a video on the platform with the sound off. So don't rely too much on your audio. Make sure that you use text overlays or captions to get key messages across, just in case somebody has it on with the audio off. When you upload your video, you can select a cover image. Don't just go with the first screen of the video. Make sure it's your hero shot so people can see what it is straight away. Think about something like one of the videos for Apple on an advert where it scrolls around the box and it shows you all the different bits of the phone. At first, the first screen of the video might be just a random corner of a mobile phone. Nobody's going to understand what that is. The hero shot is your nice pretty picture of the phone in the box. So make sure it's obvious straight away what that video is for. Remember, the screen they're going to see in the search needs to be eye-catching to make them go on and view more. Make it understandable. Just like with standard posts, you get 100 characters for your title and 500 for your description. So plenty of space to get your story out there. And you can use MP4 or MOV files, and you get a massive 2 gig in file size, which is more than any other platform. Idea pins are a canvas to share ideas. They have multiple pages, and unlike all content on Pinterest, they don't expire, so they're a great short window. You can use images and videos in an idea pin. Putting your video first is always a great attention grabber. Just remember to add text overlay in case they're watching with the sound off. When you create an idea pin, you can add up to 20 images and videos. So you'll get an idea on the left-hand side. You can see the little boxes. This idea pin only has 2 pictures in it, but you can have up to 20. So think about what you're going to put in there and really plan it out ahead. Idea pins that work the best work like a mini story. They have a beginning, a middle, and an end. They introduce the product, explain it, and then give a call to action at the end. Always try and use original content. Idea pins are there to show you and your product off. So try not to use stock images or other people's content in your idea pins, because it's not really what they're designed for. It's all about you, and there's nothing wrong with including a voiceover, but include your captions, or doing a straight to camera element, maybe at the end if you're introducing a product. You get the option to put in a details page at the end where you can add ingredients, materials, or notes and supplies. And you can tag relevant topics so that you've got more chance of popping up in the right places at the right times. You can use filters to link screens, and always make sure that you preview before you publish. One of the key things with idea pins is once you've published it, you can't go back and edit it. Whereas video pins and standard pins, you can go and you can edit your picture, you could edit your description. An idea pin, once it's up there, there's not a lot you can do with it, it's published. So you won't be able to go back through and edit a bit of description or edit one of the pictures out. So make sure you preview first and make sure you're happy with it before you publish. Then we move on to ad styles. So there are a couple of different options again for your adverts. You can have shopping pins. These are usually based around a standard pin, but include a price and a link to your website to buy. So these will be automatically generated if you've uploaded a data feed, which we'll cover shortly. These have a bit of a description in there, which is usually come straight off the website. They'll have a link on to shop back to the website and the price in there. And depending on what information you've got on your website is whether you'll have stock availability too. Collections are a bit like carousels. On a standard pin, you can do what they call a carousel. So you can have a standard pin with a single image on it, or you can have a carousel with 5 images on it. Just remember, if you're creating a carousel, do your carousel option first. If you put all your content in, your titles and your descriptions and your links, and then click on carousel, it'll reset the whole pin and you'll have to put all your content in again. So always do your images first. A collection is a bit of a hybrid. It allows you to show multiple images in one pin. You get your product details in there. Again, you get your link and you get your title and you get your visit button. The image sizes are the same and the amount of content is the same as a standard pin, but obviously you've got your extra images. It's great for products options and creating a story. When you've created your pin, you're going to put it on a board. People follow boards as well as profiles. They may not follow your whole profile, but they just follow individual boards. You tend to find it a lot with things like holiday companies who create boards for each destination. You might not follow the whole company. You might just be looking to do a skiing board or a Jamaican holiday board or a Seychelles board. You just pick what's interesting to you. So making sure that your boards are full of engaging, relevant and exciting content, people will follow the whole board rather than just take one pin. You can create a board in the Create tab up at the top of your page, or you can create it as you go along as you create your pin. There's no section to it. There's no extra information that goes into a board. You'll just be asked to give it a name, and then it will automatically associate the pictures as you put the products in. Pinterest is big on connecting things up. It likes to have all your resources together, meaning you can share your content in multiple places, giving people the best experience possible. There are different ways that you can connect all your products up and your sites up. A great brand enhancer is claiming your website. Claiming your website through Pinterest means that people can pin content directly from your website to their Pinterest board, and you'll be able to follow your account without having to search Pinterest for you. So if they go onto your website and they like a picture, it will show a little Pinterest icon in the corner. They can click on that and add it to a board, and as long as they're logged into their Pinterest, it will automatically let them select a board they want to go to. It's really useful for finding out what people want to pick off your website. The content you think might be relevant for Pinterest, they don't always think so. Sometimes they pick something different. Your brand name will appear on any pin that someone's created from your site. As you do with Google, you can verify different ways and connect it up in different ways by using a tag in your site's code, uploading a HTML file, or adding a TXT record if you have access to your website's domain settings. Different types of site work better with different methods. If you're using Shopify, WordPress, and Wix, they all generally go down the tag option. Just remember, if you're using site tags in your website's header, it has to be loaded before the rest of your site goes up. So if you have lots of tags, maybe for Google, for Facebook, and Pinterest, it can considerably slow your site down. If possible, and you can make it work, try and use a TXT record where you can. The link's made at the domain level and not in the site, so it's not being preloaded and affecting your site's loading speed. There are other options of things that you can do as well to give people different functionality. The Pinterest widget allows people to follow your Pinterest pages directly from your site, like a Facebook like button. There are also widgets available depending on your site type to let people save pins or boards directly from your site too. These widgets and setting them up do fall under the developer section of Pinterest help pages. So if code isn't your thing, then speak to your designer or developer to help you get the correct bits of code in the right places. It's not just as easy as copying and pasting a tiny bit of code across like it is with the header tags for the claim in your site. It's going to ask you to do JavaScript and add in different bits and pieces. So if you're not confident doing that, just enlist a pro to help you out. Rich pins are a really interesting thing that Pinterest do. So these automatically sync information from your website to your pins. Only available for specific content types, rich pins are designed to add content directly to your pin and always keep them up to date. The beauty of a rich pin, it will automatically sync with your page's content. So if you make changes to a recipe, for example, the rich pin will update itself and always be correct. Rich pins are free to set up, but you will need to apply for them. It normally takes about 24 to 48 hours to process an application. You'll need to add in various tags and various bits of code into your website to make the connection between your Pinterest page and your website. And your content has to be approved by Pinterest. Again, the process can be a little bit involved and includes various meta tags and validations. So if you aren't confident changing code on your website, then enlist your friendly pro to help you out. There are 3 types of rich pin. Product rich pins, which basically come off your shopping feed, and these update with things like pricing, availability, and stock information directly on your pin. The rich pin will link back to your site for the shopper to purchase. Recipe rich pins like this one we've got on the right add a title, serving size, cooking time, ratings, dietary preferences, and a list of ingredients to your recipes directly from your website. So if you change something, maybe you change how long it takes or change some ingredients, then that will automatically sync up. And article rich pins, these are great for content creators. They'll add a headline or a title, the description, and the author of the article or blog post from your site. So it means that you can talk about things in more detail, and that blog is always going to be up to date. As you'd expect, there are various different advertising options available to you. Just with the other platforms, you can decide on your spend and advert duration. The advertising features work more like Google Ads with a pay-per-click bid system rather than a Facebook set budget. Depending on the type of campaign you choose, you can set your own bids, or if you're just starting out, you can let the automatic bidding tools do it for you and use that to help you learn the best use of your budget. There's an ad manager built into the business account, and you can create anything from a simple individual advert to a complex campaign. You can also edit and duplicate post campaigns, really useful feature if one's worked well and you just want to update an image or a page link. Once you get into it, you can create ad groups to manage multiple ads all at the same time. You can choose a goal, whether you want to have it build brand awareness, get more traffic, or get sales conversions. You can target audiences, either specific interests or demographics, and there's also options to retarget existing customers using a Pinterest tag. Similar to a Facebook pixel, you can create an actor-like audience that has similar behaviours to your existing customer base. If you aren't quite sure about your audience, then you can use the automated targeting feature, which will help you create an audience based around your content. Just like any ads you run on social media, make sure you check your results and see what's working and what's not, and use the optimization tools available to tweak your ads and get the best results. Just as with Facebook and Google, you can add your catalogue to your Pinterest to turn into product pins. Pinterest estimate that shoppers spend a massive 40% more per month on Pinterest than on any other social platform, mainly because they have that shopping mindset. They're specifically going on looking for products. Like with the others, you can use your ad manager to add a feed from your website, and it will refresh daily and keep in line with your website sales. So it'll show when things are in and out of stock and any price changes you make. Once you upload your feed, you'll get a shop tab on your profile, making it easier for people to find your products. Again, you can attach the Pinterest tag to measure conversions and optimize shopping ads. If you have a Shopify site, you can integrate directly through your website without having to set the feed up. So here we've got an option to add the feed. So it's a new data source. It's going to ask you for the name of the feed. So give it a name so you can identify it. With Pinterest, you can add multiple feeds in. So you could have different product ranges if they were going out to different target markets. You can have different languages, and you can have different currencies if you sell into different areas. It'll ask you what sort of file format you're going to be uploading. It usually prefers a CSV. And if you have to log into your website, it'll ask you for a username and password. It'll ask you for your country and region and your default currency that you want to sell in. It'll ask you for the link to your CSV, so that's usually a HTTP address. And once you've generated the feed within your website, either your Shopify or your WooCommerce, it'll give you a link that you can paste in. It'll ask you for what language you want to do for the majority of your data source, and it'll ask you how often that you want to do the refresh. Normally do something like 24 hours and do it probably 7 o'clock in the morning. So if you've updated anything, maybe you sit and change your prices in an evening, all those prices will be reflected the day after in your feed when it refreshes. Shopping adverts are designed to reach shoppers when they're most likely to act. So making sure that these adverts include your price and availability and reviews is key. Collection ads use slideshows and video, and like all content, it's designed to encourage people create bigger baskets and find more products that they like all in one place. The dynamic retargeting options reach out to people that might just need an extra little bit of a nudge. Maybe they've viewed your content 2 or 3 times already and not done anything about it. Or maybe they have similar pins on content and products in their baskets already. It will show your product or your pin, and in the hope that that retargeting will help them buy and choose to buy your product. There's also additional options to enhance your shop profile, like verified merchant programs and merchant bios on your site. So if you're a retailer selling something like Nike trainers, you want to make sure that you're selling these things and people know that you're selling original, genuine articles and not knocked off copies. You can apply to be a verified merchant. You'll have to fill in a few forms and send off a bit of documentation to prove who you are and where you are. But once you're approved, you'll get either a blue tick or a red tick, depending on the type of business you are. Pinterest is very proud of its audience targeting resources. There's a range of targeting tools that give you insights into demographics, interests, keywords, and behaviours. It's great for targeted advertising campaigns or creating more effective pins. The audience insights show you people who are reacting with your content and the things they're searching for. And you can view individual pin performances or get really statted up with the rich analytics showing all your engagement metrics. You can get an overall presence of all the information for all your pins and adverts. You can get account insights and see how people interact with the content they pin from you. You can get insights into your best content to help you build better ads and create better content pins. And you can learn what topics your audiences are interested in based on their behaviours across the platform. So you get pages like this. We've got this selected as all pins, but you'll select all your different types of pins, so standard, product, ideas and video. And you can see what people are actually doing, what your audience is, what your engagements are, and what products are doing better out of each section. Once you know which your best pins are and what content's doing well, you can reach more people with the ads in a similar way you would boost a Facebook post. So here we can see these are just the most recent of the products, and you can see that the best trending one is up at the top with 57 impressions and the other one down at 19. So there's no point promoting the one that people aren't looking at as much because it's obviously not of interest to people as much as the higher one. It's got far more impressions on it, it's been far more engaged with, so it's worth promoting that one if you're going to start boosting posts up. It's easy to create an advert, and you can choose to promote a popular pin that you already have, or you can create one from scratch. Everything is based around a standard pin, so you will need to create your pin first. You can select ads in the top menu and then create your advert. This is based around a standard pin. Put in the link you want to send it to, and then create a budget and a duration for how long you want it to last, or whether you want it to last continuously. You'll be asked to put in some targeting information, picking keywords, types of people you want it to go out to. It'll walk you through it step by step. And it tells you in the right-hand corner what your estimated audience is for that advert using the selected criteria that you've made. You can select your targeting options to highlight specific demographics and interests. Pinterest has its own scheduling tool, so you can create all your content at once and schedule it up for future, just like you would with Meta Business Suite. Although most people don't choose to do that and they do Pinterest as just part of their weekly routine, you do have the option to schedule this stuff up. So depending on your strategy, maybe you want to post at particular times of day when you're not always available. If your audience is abroad and they're looking at things at a different time of day, you might not want to sit up till 3 o'clock in the morning doing it. You want to schedule it so it goes out at a specific time. You can use third-party programs like Hootsuite, but as with always with Facebook, it prefers to use its own tools. And of course, using the Pinterest scheduler is free rather than using something like Hootsuite that there's a fee for. You can schedule up to 2 weeks in advance and have up to 100 pins scheduled at any time. So although you can't schedule up at least a month's worth of content, you can do a couple of weeks in advance. So maybe if you're going on holiday or you're going to be working away and you want to have stuff carrying on going out while you're away, you can schedule that up in advance. Maybe you're doing a product launch and you want to drip feed content over the space of a couple of weeks, dropping a pin out every hour on the hour for 2 weeks. This scheduler tool will allow you to do that without having to physically sit at the computer all the time. So although people don't often use it as much as the content schedulers for things like Facebook and Instagram, it does have its benefits depending on what sort of strategy that you're running. So best practice tips: always be original. Pinners repin other people's content. You shouldn't. Create a regular stream of content. For best results, Pinterest recommends new content every week. Organise your pins well. Remember, people follow boards as well as accounts. Drive traffic. Make sure you use the URL feature and get those visitors onto your website. Above all, be creative. Pinterest is all about inspiration, fun, and enjoyment. For a lot of loyal pinners, it's a hobby in itself. So we're going to have a quick flick through some slides on how to create a couple of different types of content, and then we'll have a look at how to create an advert. So here you can see this is the home feed for a company's Pinterest page. You can see we've got a big variety of pins, and you can see with the stuff that we've got here with the wax and seal kits, this is a perfect example of a little tiny video. It's only a few seconds long, but you'll actually sit and look at it. You can see it all going along as you're looking at the other things on the page. We've got direct adverts, the Ella's Kitchen will go directly through to the website. And we've got all sorts of different things here about different days, different baby shower ideas, different website things. These are all connected back to things that we've already done, things that we've already seen on this account. So we're going to create some content. So we go to the Create tab at the top of the page, and we've got the option to create a pin, create an ad, or create an idea pin. We'll start with the standard pin. So although you have the Save from Website button, again, I would always recommend you just create it yourself, because you can optimize the pictures better and it's probably just a bit more effective. You can make sure you're adding different things in your title and make it work better, and you can add in your options like your emojis. So we're going to create a pin. It's going to work the same way whether we do an image or a video. If we do a video, we just add the video in here. If we're going to add an image in, we just click and add our image in, and it's going to let us select one from something that we've got in here. So we'll add in something that is fairly appropriately sized. Now, it doesn't like my picture because it's the wrong way around for it and it's the wrong ratio of size, but we can edit that in the editing tools. If I want to add in multiple pictures, now I've added in one image, I can click on my carousel and add in my multiple pictures. Remember to do that first. Once you've added in that content, if you click on Create Carousel, it will delete everything you've done and you'll have to do it again. So we can edit the image within our pin. You can see here that we've got different options now to select different aspect ratios. So this is the 2:3 size that it prefers. You've got 3:4 or you've got 1:1. For our pin, it's going to be better to do 1:1 because of the size of the picture. So we can move it around in the box and we can see what size it's going to fit to. We can adjust it, we can rotate it round so we can have it in different angles, and you can change it round, flip it from side to side, horizontal and vertical. If you want to change the image, if you decide that you don't like it, we can click on that and we can put in something else instead. So let's change it because it doesn't fit in the page properly, and we'll change it for something that fits better. So now we can change our ratio back and we've got a better fitting picture. I would always update my changes individually in between each section that I'm doing so that I make sure I've saved it. If I go off and do something else, I haven't lost what I'm doing. So we'll go back to edit. If you click on the little star tool, this now lets you brand your post that you're putting on. So we can add your logo to the pin to make it look official. It means that whoever is repinning it, if this is your product, whoever repins this product, it will always have your logo on it. So we'll add something in here. We'll try and find an image. Try and find the logo for the company. We'll put that in instead. So we'll just put something in we can use as a logo. We can change the size of it. We can increase it up and down. We can increase the margin so we can see where we're fitting it, whether you have it tight up against the edge or further in from the edge with the margins. And we can also position it on the screen. So we can have the top corners left and right or in the centre. And again, bottom left, right and in the centre. For this to make it fit with the picture, I'm going to put it bottom right. If you want to put a coloured border behind your logo, then you can put in a colour fill. So we can add a dark blue in that matches the image. And we can make it transparent if we want, so we can still see the bottom of the image. You can't put anything else in that area. So if you are going to put a logo in there, then probably having something central in your box will make it look a bit better. You can upload JPEGs or PNGs. And obviously the beauty of a PNG is you get a transparent background, and something like this will work really well with your box in the background. We can add a text overlay now onto our image. So we might want to add in that it's a new range. We can change our style depending on our branding. So we might want to go with something that is, a little bit scripty. You've got a list of different things that are supported. You won't be able to add 1,000,001 in there, and you can't stick particular fonts in. So if you have something that you use a Google font, you'll just have to try and stick to something, as close as you can do. We can change the size of our text. We don't want to have it too big. And we can change the colour of it, so we can make it any colour we like. We can change the alignment, either centred or left. We'll keep it centred so it matches our logo. And again, we can position it where we want in its little box area, whether you have it tight to the top or plenty of padding on it. We can create a background colour for this as well, so we can add another strip. But now we're getting into the point where we've got lots of stuff going on in our box and we can't really see our product. So we won't put a fill on there. And we can decide where we want it, the top of the box, middle of the box, or at the bottom. It works better at the bottom of the box for us, so that's where we'll leave it. So as you can see, we've now got our picture in there. We have a tag product option. So if we had a shopping catalogue up here, we can tag our products and it will link back to one of our shopping pins. We just click it and add our products in. We haven't got a shopping feed on this account, so that's not really available to us. We can add in our title. So we have the ability to add in 100 characters, but it recommends 40. So we want to make sure that we keep the keywords in our actual description. Although this has a name, the product name doesn't mean anything to anybody, but we want to make sure our keywords in there. So we have upholstered, coffee table. We can add the name in because we've got enough in there. So we should just about make our 40 characters. Our logo is already on there and our account name. And now we can tell everybody what our pin's about. So we could just copy and paste the content out of the website, but really that's not descriptive enough and it's not going to make us relevant in the searches. So we want to make sure that the content we put in here is relevant to what people are searching for. So again, let's put in that it's an upholstered coffee table. We want people to know what it is. We want people to know that it's made in the UK. And we want to know that it's available in different colours. So now we've got our main keywords in there, our upholstered coffee table with wooden legs and a perspex top. We want people to know it's made in the UK. So we can change that to upholstery. Made in the UK. Again, that's going to be somebody's search term, and we've got it available in range of fabrics. We can add an emoji in if we want to. So we could have, I don't know, a happy little face. We can put in wherever we want. So make him, relevant to what you're doing, and you can add them into here as well. So we can paste him in there if we want to. Add in our alt text. Now, your alt text technically should be a description of the picture, so you don't want to copy and paste that description text that you've already got into your alt text. This is for a screen reader, so it should really describe what the image looks like. Again, you've got 500 characters. So we want to say that this is a blue velvet upholstered coffee table with studs and a perspex top with flowers on. So we've got our keywords in there again. We've got our upholstered coffee table in there, but we want to describe people what the actual image is looking like. So we want to make sure it's different from our description. We can add a destination link in, so we would normally link that back to the website. I'm not going to go off and find that now, but we will put a link through to that product on the website so that people can link directly through to it and go off and have a look. We can publish this now, and we can publish it at a later date, and it'll give me a date up to 2 weeks in advance, and you can set the hour within half-hourly increments. We need to assign it to a board before we publish it. So these are the boards I've already got created. I've already created one for it under coffee tables, so I'm going to leave it selected at that. If I hadn't got something already, we just create a new board and it'll select something, it'll put something in there and it'll automatically go to that board. So that's a basic pin. Now we want to create an idea pin. So the first screen, when we click on idea pin, it's going to give us this screen to drag and drop our images. We can have 20 images and videos for an idea pin. So we're going to click on here to let it select out of our image file. So we'll select some stools. And you can see it's put our pages in here. So out of these, we might decide that we want to show the tables first. So we can drag and drop these to put them in any order we want. So it might be that we put these in that order so that they break up the colour. It might be that we show the storage. Some of these have storage, so we have open and close images. So actually, as it scrolls through, it's going to create a little bit of movement as well. Click on each individual one. You can, again, move it around in the box. You don't get to crop the images the same way you did in a standard post, but we can move it about in that area. We don't have all the options for the different aspect ratios. It is only just this one. So we've got our image positioned where we want. We can change the colour of the background. So if we make it pale grey, we can reduce the size of our image and make it so that it fits better, and we get a grey box at the bottom. It now means that whatever content is at the bottom will show on this grey box. It might be that we want to move our title down. You've got more options to move things on an idea pin than you do on a standard pin. So it might be that if you were going to do a carousel pin with maybe just 2 or 3 images, you might actually decide to go for an idea pin because you can be more flexible with your layout and where you want to put things. So here, if we have a nice grey box at the bottom, we can put our content in, we can put our title in there. We can have our title in there, call it cruise, if it'll let me type something in. So the text is a little bit big, so we can change our font again to something that is more in keeping with our brand. And we can change our size. So let's make it a little bit smaller so it fits in better. So now when we move it, we can see, and this is how it'll appear to people in the home feed. So when they see this screen, this is what they'll see. And they can see they've got their like and their share buttons. We've got the title and we've got information about the actual brand in there. So we can see where it's going to fit. We can change the colour of our text so that it stands out more. And we can change the alignment and the size. And again, we can replace the image if we want to, if we decide it's not working. You can add a highlight box if you want to around your text. If you were going to stick it in the middle of the picture, then you might want to have a highlight box on there. But because we're going to put it in this grey box that we've already got, then we're going to take that colour out. So you work through each one of your pages and make them fit and make them do what you want to do. So you've got the option to add something onto every single screen. So these are great for telling stories. If you've got a product where you've got more than one colour, more than one option, you might want to talk about the different colours, about the different sizes. You might want to introduce it from start to finish and tell a story as you go along. When we're happy with our images and what they're going to do, then we go on to the next screen. We're going to add our basics. Now here it's reminding you that once this idea pin is published, there's only your board selection that you can change. You can move it from board to board, but you won't be able to go back and edit any of your content. So we're going to add the basics. So this is the title of our pin, Cruise Coffee Table, the board that we want to put it on. So let's go back to our coffee tables and add it on there. And then we've got topic tags. So it might be that we want to pop up in interior design. We want living room furniture, coffee tables. So all these are search tags that we're going to pop up for. They won't be shown on your pin. Other people won't see them, but it's all for you to be turning up in the searches and getting your people where you want to see. Decide whether you want people to comment. I'd always recommend you let people comment, because the whole point is you want people to engage with you. These things, if you don't let people comment, they can't ask you any questions on your product. They can't find out anymore. So I would always let people comment. Then you can add some details. See, now you can add in what would have been your description on your standard pin. They just do it slightly differently. So there's a different template depending on what it is. So if it's ingredients, it will do cooking time, hours and minutes, how many servings it makes, and what the ingredients are. If it's something that's crafty, maybe it's something that they're making, a difficulty rating, and then the supplies you need. For any other product, it's just notes, and we can put whatever product information we want in here. So a range of fabrics, choice of lead colour, made in the UK. And we can add all of our information in there as we go along. Once we publish, it's fixed. So let's make sure we preview it and we can see what it looks like. As you can see, we're going through our little screens, and depending on how many screens you've got will be how many little blocks it shows. So the more content you have on there, the shorter these little blocks will become. So it'll be almost like a video. It will go through screen to screen to screen. If you've got more content on here, they'll be on there for a longer period of time. So again, bear that in mind. If you're going to be putting lots of text overlays on there, if it's flicking between the 20 screens, they're not going to have a very long time to read it. So if you've got 20 colours, it might be just a case of red, blue, gold, silver. Don't have loads of text on there that people aren't going to be able to read. Once we're happy with that, then we can click publish. I'm not going to publish this because we don't want to do that. But once you publish it, that's it, and it goes on that board. So that's an idea pin. I would recommend you do these where possible, because I think they're a much more engaging type of content. But you do want to have a breakdown of both types as well, so that people have got the option. So now we're going to have a look at creating an advert. So we go to our advert section and we want to create an ad. So we're going to get a nice big screen that gives us lots and lots of options to choose from. If you're just boosting something that you've already got and you're going out of your analytics, then you'll be able to just promote it and it'll not ask you for quite as much information. If you want to do a proper campaign and do it properly, then you're going to use something like the advert section, where you can add in all of these different bits and pieces. So we've got a campaign objective. What is it that we're trying to do? And the objective determines how you bid in the ad auction. So think about like your Google pay-per-clicks. There's different costs per click varying on different type of product and the different category it's into. So you want to pick the best one that reflects what you want to do. So you want to build awareness, get people to discover your brand or your service. Maybe you want people to view your video. Maybe you want, they call it drive consideration, basically drive traffic to either your advert on Pinterest or to your website. You want to get people going on your website to buy on conversions, or you may be wanting people to buy through your Pinterest on your catalogue sale. So we want people to go to our website. So we'll have a look at, no, we won't. We'll go back. We'll do consideration because we don't have a tag on here. We're not doing that. So we're going to do considerations. We're going to drive people to the advert. We'll give it a name. So we'll call it coffee table. And it's always got to have a pin attached to it. It's always going to be around a pin that you've already got. So whereas in Facebook or Instagram, you can create your advert within your ad manager and you create a different style of advert and like a different template, in Pinterest, it's based around a pin that you've already got. So make sure that that pin is there and ready for you to attach to your advert. So we're going to have active so that it'll be running as soon as it's approved. We want a campaign budget and schedule. So you can have a daily budget or a lifetime budget. So if you are going to run this for maybe 10 days, you would give it a daily budget, maybe give it £2 a day for 10 days. If you want it to run indefinitely, you can give it a maximum lifetime spend. So for the entire time it's out there, you could say, right, I'm going to run this advert indefinitely, and within that time period, while it's of the entire life that it's running, I only want to spend £500 on it. So you can give it that cap of £500 as the maximum. Once you spent £500, your advert will stop showing. So So we're going to go with daily. Let's put £2 per day. And we're going to run it on specific dates. I don't want to run it continuously. I just want to run it on specific days. So here I can choose when I want to run it. So I'll do it for 10 days and we'll get it to stop on the 9th of May. So then we look at our targeting details. So this is the people that we're wanting to put this advert out to. You can see here on the right-hand side that we've got this potential audience size box, and this is telling me who potentially this advert is going to go out to. And it's saying 8.1 to 8.9 million people. We're quite bang on in the middle with where we're going with that. So we've not got a very niche, narrow audience, but we're not putting it out to everyone and making it too broad. We can either reconnect with users who have already interacted with our brand. Maybe they've already been on our profile. Maybe they've already put out some content and repinned it. Or we might want to find new customers, especially if you're doing brand awareness. You want people that haven't seen your content before. If they're already following your boards, then there's a good chance that we're going to come back and have a look. And especially if they're already covering your content and your boards, it will notify them when you have new content out there. So you don't necessarily need to go back to them again. So we want to go back to find new customers and get new people on there. You can create your own target. It can be quite complicated to do. It's worth having a good 6 to 8 months of working through it, seeing how your adverts work, seeing what demographics. Majority of the time, the stuff that Pinterest have set up themselves is sufficient for what you do, unless you are getting really, really keyed into your target market. So we're going to go with a new audience. So these are people that haven't interacted with our brand so far. We can use an existing list if we had an audience list. So if we had people that were maybe customers already, we can upload a list of who those customers are and their sort of email addresses to retarget. So if they're on Pinterest, it can target those and attract them. We're not going to do that because we're looking for different people. So we can go into our demographics now and we can look at our interests and keywords. So we can pick different things. So we've enabled our interests and keywords. So we've got interest in there. So it might be design. It might be, let me do DIY. We've got DIY and crafts. So we've got different things. So different, you can see here, there's all sorts of different things that they're going on to DIY and crafts, home and decorations. Let's go with home and decorations. So there's lots of different interests, much more detailed than you'll get on some of the other platforms. They really have gone into these things. And these tend to be based around the content types that are on Pinterest and the boards that people create. So they're picking up this interest on what they're calling them and how they're breaking down their own mini categories within the content that's on the platform to try and utilize that. So they know what people are looking for. So that's where these kind of interests and keywords are coming from. So we'll pick DIY and home decorations, and we've got our DIY already. We're going to add in some keywords. So it might be we add in coffee table. Coffee table. Apparently you can't have coffee table. So we're going to add that in. We might have living room furniture, living room design, living room style, living room ideas. So we can add all of these in. So these are keywords that people are actually putting in and searching. So you can see now our potential audience has dropped down to 4.2 to 4.6 million. We're getting more targeted. We're dropping down into a narrower bracket. So we're targeting our audience more. We can look at our demographics. So now we can have a look at where we want to attract these people from. So does it matter what gender, depending whether if it's men's clothing or women's clothing, obviously you're going to want to be a bit more specific. We can pick what age group that we go to and give it an age bracket in there. Any particular locations, if you want to keep it local, then, if you wanted to do Preston and Blackburn, you can pick, a bit like Facebook with the local interest, you can pick it within a certain area range. We're going to go all UK because the product goes everywhere. You can pick languages and you can pick devices. So you might want to only pick on mobile. You might only want to go desktop. Depending on what people are doing, and how they're using Pinterest, different people will use it differently. So you tend to find that the younger millennials that are buying particular products, they will always be on the mobile. You tend to find the older generation, people that are looking for maybe room designs and craft ideas, they'll tend to use a desktop. So depending on your audience, the device that you're aiming it at, you don't want to spend half your budget on desktop when none of the people that buy your product are using the desktop. You can see from the demographics and the stats that they're all coming to you through mobile. So you can pick your device and where you want to go. We can pick our placement options, so we can decide where we want to put it. We'll put it in all because we want it to be in browse and search. So we want to be able to cover all areas. So it's going to give us a little rundown of our budget and schedule. This is what we're going to spend. This is how long it's going to run for. Our optimization and delivery, we'll go with automatic bidding. So it's going to work out what the best clicks are for my budget. I can change that if I want to decide, right, I only want to pay so much per click. But unless you have all the information, unless you've done all your research and you've gone into your rich analytics and seen what these clicks all are, you're not going to know that to start with. So if you're new to adverts, I would say do at least a couple of months of the automatic bidding so that you can see, it will tell you what the best bids are and how much you need to spend. And then you can utilize your budget around that. And then we're going to pick our adverts. We need to select our pin that's out of here. So we need to find our coffee table, which I still can't spell. It's not popping up. Oh, I've lost my coffee table. Okay. So we'll pick one of our beds. We'll go with that one. So that is going to be the product that we're going to be showing. We can do boards, so we can put particular boards on there, or we can just do pins. So we'll just go with one pin. We'll just go with one product. Once we're happy with that, then we can publish our advert. I'm not going to publish it because we don't have any billing information on here. This client doesn't do any advertising, so we don't have any card details on here, so it won't let me do it. Once you've published it, just like a Facebook advert or an Instagram advert, it'll go into review. Usually takes a couple of hours, and then it'll message you and tell you that your advert is available and it's out and doing its thing. Then you can go back in your analytics and see how people are interacting with it. So this is as much as I've got time for to share with you. There are some slides available that come with this recording. There's some slides in there for creating your content and creating your pins. And of course, if you have any questions, come back to the team at DMS4all and we can hopefully help you out. So hopefully this has been useful to you. What I would say for Pinterest is make sure you go on and use it as a viewer first. Have a really good play with it. See what other people are doing. Create some boards and then start adding your business products in. If you want to create it as an individual first and then flip it over to a business, you'll have that option. And I would always recommend you get some content on there, get some pins, get some boards on before you start looking at doing any sort of advertising, even if it's brand awareness. Make sure there's some content on there so that when people come to your brand, they can see that there's interesting stuff on there. Pinterest themselves have loads of really, really good help stuff. You just need to go on and have a look at their website. And there's plenty of stuff that'll talk you through all the different areas. So good luck with your Pinterest, and we'll see you on the next session.